Hi everyone, my name is Colin Eagers. I'm one of the International Affairs Coordinators here at NBCC. Really want to welcome everyone to tonight's College Preview Day session. So today we're going to have a chance to discuss your upcoming program with your instructors, learn a little bit about your program, and really we just want to get you excited to join us. We're happy that you're going to be joining us this fall. So yeah, I'll just go over a few housekeeping items before we get started. So the first is to keep your microphones and cameras off just while we're doing the presentation. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type that in the chat feature. I'll also be in the chat feature a few times throughout, so I might be answering some questions or I might save some of them for our instructors at the end. So what we'll do is we're going to have 3 presentations just going over your programs. And then there will be a question period at the end where we can answer a lot of your questions for you. So this session is going to be recorded. So if you do want to go back and look at any of the questions or presentations that we covered during today's chat, it will be posted on the College Preview Day website next week. So we're looking to post those on Monday morning, so they're available to everyone. So I think that's everything I need to cover. So what I'll do is I'll hand it over now to Chris London, one of our instructors who will start the presentations.
Can we see that now?
Yep, that's all good.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Chris London, and I'm going to be working with Bonnie to cover Programmer Analyst, Web and Mobile, and Game Experience. So welcome to the NBCC School of Information Technology. We're happy that you've chosen NBCC and you're considering coming here in the fall. This is awesome. The 3 programs, like I said, Programmer Analyst is available St. John, Fredericton, and it's actually available at Moncton now. So I actually have to update that. We just opened a new cohort in Moncton for the Programmer Analyst program, which is nice. Web and Mobile Application Development is specifically based in Moncton, as is Gaming Experience Development. So like I said, I'm Chris London. I'm the coordinating instructor for the St. John campus for the IT programs. And the reason you're here, what are you going to learn? Well, hopefully you're going to learn lots of information about what we do and get some answers to some of the questions you may have. So the beauty of our programs are they're designed to have a lot of shared courses in the first year. So we have shared technology courses, shared soft skills courses, and then we have some specialty courses, and then we branch off in year 2 and do some very program-specific specialty courses. So Web and Mobile and Programmer Analyst are almost identical in the first year. So if, as you're going through the first year, you decide you want to try the other program, you'll have all the credits that you need to transfer over to a different program. Some of the shared technology courses that we do have are, obviously we do programming and web development, but we also do hardware, some database work, and things like that. These are in the first year. You're going to cover all of these topics in year 1. For soft skills, you're going to cover applied writing, interpersonal communications, technical writing, and you're going to do some business for IT professionals. The reason that you're going to cover these soft skills courses, we get these questions a lot, or why do you do this, is because industry has asked for it. So this is why we cover the soft skills as well as the technical skills. So some of the first year specialty courses that you'll see in Programmer Analyst and Web and Mobile App Development, you're going to do web development and responsive web design, object-oriented programming and database programming, as well as your intro. You're going to do JavaScript and advanced JavaScript courses, database design and intro and intermediate SQL, object-oriented analysis and design, and project management, and you're going to do good old-fashioned computer math and statistics. At the St. John campus, the faculty are Kathy, myself, and Stephen. In Fredericton, it is Kevin, Bruce, and Nick. We do business application programming. So it's important to understand that. So we're building applications that businesses use to solve real world business problems, whether it be something that they need to run their business, something to run their website. Maybe they want to go into an e-commerce site. Maybe they have a inventory management system or something along those lines, but it's all business application programming that we do. Once you get into second year, this is where the programs start to diverge. There are still some similarities, but the programmer analyst, we do PHP, data analysis, Linux and Unix. We do Java and advanced Java. We do a software development project that's very comprehensive. We have an entrepreneurship course. We do a design project, and we have an 8-week work integrated learning. That's a work placement, or some people may have heard of it called a co-op. It's not guaranteed a paid position, although a lot of our graduates do end up getting paid for their work placements. And that is at the very end of your 2 years. So that'll be the last term of your 2-year program. Some of the different job titles that our graduates have obtained through the years are programmer analyst, software developer, web developer, database developer or administrator, project managers, business analysts and systems analysts, technical analysts, technical writers, and support analysts. And here's a list of our employer partners. These are all employers who have taken some of our students at one point or another. A lot of them take them regularly. Some of them take them once in a while. I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie now so she can talk about the web and mobile.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So I'm an instructor in web and mobile application development in the Moncton campus. And myself and the folks that I work with in my area also cross-teach in gaming experience. So I will also be talking to you about that. So in Moncton, we have myself and then Stephen Carter, Chris Cusack, Dylan Van Deventer, and Judson Murray. So we teach in the web and mobile application development program, and we also cross-teach in gaming experience development. If we could move the slide, thanks. And we do create business applications as well, and also we do apps, and we do web applications, and we do mobile applications. So we do mobile applications, both hybrid and native. So the hybrid is something that we do in first year, and then in second year we do iOS application development for iPhone and iPad, and also we do Android mobile application development. As Chris mentioned, we have a common first year with programmer analyst, so it's all the same in first year. Our second year specialties include Java and Enterprise Java, Advanced JavaScript, various JavaScript frameworks in another course. We also do ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Core, N-tier development. We also do PHP, iOS app development using the Swift language. We do Android application development using Kotlin. We do QA testing and a number of other things as well, but those are our main specialties. We do a lot of projects. We tend to have projects out the gate in first year. Every term we have team and individual projects. In second year we have team projects every term and sometimes multiple team projects. We also end before we go into our work placements with a comprehensive project that is an amazing simulation that's just like being in industry with all the pressures thereof, but it's an excellent review of the entire 2 years before you go out and join the workforce. In that comprehensive project, it's a full industry simulation that includes using multiple languages and development environments, C#.NET, ASP.NET MVC and Core, Android with Kotlin, and lots of other things that you would have learned in first year for basic web development and desktop development. Also UML, Agile, Scrum, GitHub, and Jira. And then, as I mentioned, once the project is finished, then our students go out for their work integrated learning placements. Our placements are generally 4 weeks, and we have kept that way for many years, just because we find that after 4 weeks, the employers generally want to hire the students, and so often they get paid a little bit sooner. And that's the way it is right now. Now, at some point that may change, but for now, it's still a 4-week placement prior to being able to be ready for full-time employment. Some of our areas of employment include being a software developer, other names are programmer, application developer, web application developer, mobile application developer, interactive media developer, programmer analyst, business application programmer, game developer. Although there is a special program where people tend to do lottery games, we have had some of our students hired as game developers. Systems analysts, and also quality assurance people and testers, database developers, database administrators. This is all things that have happened. The last couple, not as often, only if a student had a lot of interest in that. The other names are more common for our graduates. We've had a lot of success over the past 18 years that I've been tracking, 100% employment in their field. A lot of that employment has been coming from government organizations, large corporations, medium and small businesses, startups also, especially the last few years, that has really grown. Also consulting firms that have hired students as consultants. Most of the work that the graduates are finding is actually right here in New Brunswick. There have been positions in other provinces when a particular student hasn't had an interest in that particular location, and so that usually is not a problem. Development skills are in demand everywhere. Now, the gaming experience development is also in Moncton. There have been a couple of additions to our staff, and we do have 2 additional instructors who do teach both in web application development, web and mobile application development, and in gaming experience development. So we have David Birchall. He does teach in both programs, and so does Andre Boudreau and Lisa Melanson. They are more in gaming experience, but they also do teach in web and mobile application development. So all of us cross-teach in the various programs. It is game-focused programming. It's not console gaming. It is lottery gaming. So the web applications are focused on gaming for online, and we also have the students in gaming experience prepared to create lottery terminal games like you might see on the right-hand side. The languages that they use are different specifically because of the lottery gaming, and there's a lot of focus on C++. That's the first programming language and the one that the gaming experience students learn and do most. So they're doing a lot of courses in C++, fundamentals of C++, object-oriented C++, data structures and automation, and game development in C++. They do other languages too, just not to the same extent. They do several math courses, and they do take a software engineering course. They do Java, and they do Android, and they do QA testing. In addition, they do take a couple of web application courses, the same ones that are in both Programmer Analyst and Web and Mobile Application Development. They do have an 8-week practicum, and they are usually aiming themselves towards working for places like IGT and Spilo, CGI, and so on. But they do take enough programming in other areas that they can work in other areas as well. So some of the names that you might hear for positions that gaming experience students would be on the lookout for are including game developer, lottery games developer, software developer, application developer, and web developer. Their employment outlook, again, mostly in the last few years, SPELO, GTech, IGT, but also to other areas. Some students are not all that keen on working in that particular area, so they can work at other organizations because they do have strong programming skills. They can work in other areas as well. Medium, small-sized businesses, startups, and consulting firms. Again, mostly in New Brunswick. However, other opportunities in other provinces are available, and if a student has a desire to move elsewhere in Canada, then that is a possibility.
Hi, so it's Chris again. It's Chris, I'm back again, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what can happen after you take any of our 2 years information technology diplomas. These are cornerstones to getting into either one of our advanced post-diplomas. So we have a cybersecurity post-diploma in St. John. So if cybersecurity is something you're interested in, then any of the programs that we're talking about today, any of the 2-year programs we're talking about today, definitely qualify for you to get into this program in cybersecurity, or the business analysis 1-year advanced post-diploma that Keisha is actually going to talk about in a few minutes, which is kind of nice. The cybersecurity briefing was the Monday night, I believe, or last night. I think that was it Colin? I can't remember what night it was, but that'll be available on the College Preview Day website. You could probably go watch that as well. We also have some articulation agreements. So that's a formal agreement with several universities where you can leave our programs and go off and finish and do a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science or a Bachelor of Applied Management. So, you know, you can take your 2-year diploma and go off to several different universities, and they will give you credit for the time you spent with NBCC towards their degree in either computer science or applied management. And they're with different universities, and we're constantly trying to organize different articulation agreements with different universities. So this list is constantly updated, and it's available on our website. We have applied research at NBCC, which also includes applied learning. So applied research could be something along the lines of you work on a project that is actually research-based, where applied learning is you're actually working on a project with an industry partner. And so but they both fall under applied research, and we have incidents of both where our students have worked on both. It's one of the things that I like to do. This year, I actually, 3 of my students, instead of working on a case study, I farmed them out to an artificial intelligence company downtown, and they worked for them for 4 months. So that type of opportunity is also available. We get this question all the time, so I throw it into the presentation. The starting salaries for most of our graduates after 2 years runs in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. So that's usually what they're making in the first, after they're finished their 2nd year. Overall, NBCC graduation rates are good. 89% of 2018 graduates were employed. Now, these are overall NBCC graduation rates and employment rates. The rates in IT are significantly higher. I can't say we have 100% employment. We have 100% of employment with anybody who wants to remain in the industry, because we have some people who do the diploma, they go off and they work in the industry, and then they decide to go off into something else, and that's perfectly acceptable. That's their choice. I don't want to say 100% because some people have carved off and gone into a different career. But in every case that they've talked to me about it, they said that this actually helped them prepare for a different career as well. So, and 94% of our graduates are employed actually working within New Brunswick, and Bonnie hit on that as well. Most of our students come from New Brunswick and want to stay in New Brunswick, and that's a great thing for the province. However, I just did a reference for one of my graduates who just got hired for a job out in Victoria, British Columbia. So the options are there if you want to go. and she went back to Victoria because that's where she was from, and she's loving it out there and she's having a ball. So if you have any more questions, absolutely, this after Keisha's done, we'll have a Q&A with everybody. But you can always schedule a personal call with a recruitment advisor, or you can send me an email, chris.london@nbcc.ca, and Bonnie is bonnie.ryan@nbcc.ca if you have a question about web and mobile or about gaming experience. I would be happy to answer any emails. And that's it. I'll turn it over to Keisha.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let me quickly share my screen. All right, seen okay? All right,
Yes,
so
we see it.
okay, perfect. All right, so good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining this evening's session. So I'm Keisha Peters, the lead instructor in the IT Business Analysis program at the Fredericton campus, also coordinating instructor for IT programs there. I'm just going to go over quickly what you can expect if you sign up for the IT Business Analysis program. As Chris mentioned, it's one of those programs that students typically do after they complete their diploma in either web and mobile or program analyst. We have had a few grads from those program areas. We have also had students come in with degrees from various backgrounds, engineering, business. We've even had students with background in science. So the skill sets vary with the students that come to us. So the program is offered at 3 campuses. So St. John would have their first offering of the program starting in the fall. So we have it in Fredericton, Moncton, and St. John. The program is 1 year, so you'll be in classes for 8 months, where we'll cover pretty much all the content that you need to get done. And then for the spring term, we'll go out and practicum. Now, practicum is optional, and it's 7 weeks and unpaid. However, we have had many instances where students have gotten placements with stipends, right, or paid internships. So we have quite a bunch of students out now currently on paid internships. So scenarios vary. So just going to quickly go over what we cover. The main things we go over, it's a pretty intense program. So we actually do all the business analysis fundamentals, so requirement solicitation and documentation. We do process mapping and documentation, project management, and that's using both traditional and agile approaches. That's a pretty heavy course, so we tend to do a lot of simulations, real projects. So I'll touch on the applied research projects that we participate on in a bit. We also do QA testing. So a part of the BA's job is not just to capture requirements. You also have to make sure that you check and see if the system is performing based on the requirements that the clients establish. So we touch on a bit of QA testing. So there's one course that will cover that. We also do some amount of user interface design, and this is just really prepping BAs to capture good requirements for clients. So we focus not only on the functionality of the system, we also function on usability. So that course is really there to make sure that you get those core skills that you need to function in that space. All right, so for the applied research projects, we tend to partner with the program analyst students. So we have an industry partner, or we have a bunch of industry partners who would approach us from time to time with applications that they want us to build. The business analyst students would capture the requirements and document those, hand over to the programmer analyst students for development. Those projects typically span 7 months, so it really gives the students a good real-world hands-on experience, especially working on agile type projects. So that really preps students for those types of situations. All right, so if you're trained in this program, you can expect to pick up employment in any of these roles. Of course, the names of the roles vary. This list is by no means exhausted. You will find that you might have some other employer having different names. We normally tell our students to check the job description and just make sure that, you know, once there's a match with the skills, you can apply. But these are like common titles that you'll see popping up for this area. Now, we have had in the past, I say probably last 3 cohorts, there's an employer, it's a product company in Fredericton, that's always comes to get one of our grads and to work as a product analyst. So the skills are pretty much similar, and a lot of what you learn in the business analysis program can prepare you well for that role. There's just a few other things that you'd need to learn. So we've had students graduating and immediately after graduating getting like a junior product analyst role. So that's something you can also consider if you graduate from this program. All right, so that's a list of employers that have employed our students in the past. Pretty long list, and it's growing. We have had some new partners joining us this year for practicum, and I've been getting some good feedback on that. So I suspect that this list will be a little bit longer next time around. Yeah. So what can you expect to earn if you are trained as a business analyst? So if you think of an entry-level BA, you're thinking about, on average, 57,000. That would be your salary. Now, of course, this varies according to employer, so it's not that that's going to be the exact figure that you will get, but it will be around that. Once you get 5 or more years of experience, you can expect to earn in the 60s, so an average $63,000. For certs, and we get this question a lot, so I think it's good for me to drop it in there. For certs, upon graduating from the program, you can apply to take the ECBA through IIBA. So you actually don't need any project experience. You just need proof that you've gone through some amount of business analysis training. And once you can prove that's true, you can go and take the exam and get your cert. Now, of course, if you want to move up in the ranks, because certs sometimes is an X factor when you're deciding to give a promotion, especially in industry. So if you're thinking of moving up in the ranks and probably getting a promotion, want to take on a senior BA role, it's normally encouraged that you take the CBAP certification. Now, of course, that's also offered through IIBA, and you would need a minimum of 7,500 business analysis work experience. So that's and that's hours. So that's really a lot of time. So you definitely need to be working on a lot of projects in order to meet the minimum requirement for that cert. But you can take the ECBA immediately upon graduating, and the curriculum for the program it lines up well with the content that you'll be assessed on for the certification exams. So you have a good platform on which you can build to prep for these exams. All right, so if you have more questions that you need answered, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can get me at keisha.peters@nbcc.ca. And of course, if you want to reach out directly to the recruitment advisor, you can reach out to Catherine Lane. She will direct you to me if there are questions you ask that she's not able to answer. All right, so all being well, looking forward to seeing you all in the fall. Over to you, Colin.
All right. Thank you, Keisha, Chris, and Bonnie as well for your presentations. That's a good recap, I think. But now we'll open the floor up to some questions. So if there's a little more detail you're looking for, or just any other questions that you might have. One question did come in from someone just wondering what blended delivery looks like and what does that mean for students studying. So blended delivery it just means that programs will use a combination of online learning for theory-based, and then in combination with practical hands-on learning on campus. It depends on the program what that looks like. Maybe some of the instructors could chime in just to let students know what that might look like for your programs.
Sure. So it not only does it depend on the program, sometimes it often depends on the course as well. Some courseware lends itself much better toward a blended or more of an online format, and others, like for instance, a hardware course. I mean, because of COVID last year, we were forced to do some work online that maybe is best done in a lab where we could actually play with hardware and networking equipment and things like that. But for most of our blended deliveries, we have a combination of face-to-face delivery from an instructor, but there's also some self-learning and maybe some other work that the students would have to come back across and do on their own time and things like that. So this is one of the things where it's hard to pin down exactly what blended learning is going to look for you. It depends on which program you take. It also depends on which course you're taking, and it depends on how far along you are. We'll tend to spend more face-to-face time with you in the first year, and you'll do more group work and self-study in the second, where you'll come to us for assistance, and we'll give you guidance, and then you'll come back to us. So it's kind of a combination, and we try to wean you over the period of 2 years into being self-sufficient. I hope that helps. I think it was Maxime asked that question. So
another question came in just asking a little bit about the technology requirements. So Bonnie did just leave a link in the chat here. So on that page, you can select your program area, and you can see the specific requirements that you need for your programs. I know this is one question we do see come in fairly often from the international team, and I'll just let the instructors chime in on this one. Is it okay to have a desktop computer versus a laptop for my program?
Well, you're going to need a laptop because of the blended learning requirement. So some of it will be home, but some of it will be in class at the college. And depending on the program, right now it's going to be somewhere between 40 to 80% in class. We don't know the exact number. It's dependent on the program. We're going to find that out a little bit later. But the minimum spec that's on the list is not always good enough. So get the computer that you can in your budget with those things in mind. You don't need to have a CD burner or DV burner and anything like that. But what you do want to get is much memory, processing speed, and a SSD drive. Absolutely. Okay. If you can't afford, I think the recommendation for certain programs is like a really big SSD drive. If you can't afford the really big one, get as big as you can, and then get an extra external drive for storage. Yes, hopefully that helps. If you guys have any more questions about that, just ask us.
Yeah, that's great. It's a good recap. So another question just came in. Will there be an orientation prior to my program in September in Moncton? So there will be some type of orientation that will be happening, be it virtual, similar to something like this, or on campus. What that looks like right now, we're not 100% sure, just because of the pandemic and the planning that will be happening in the coming months. But there will be registration, and registration is mandatory for all students. So you need to do your registration within the time that is communicated to you. That'll be happening second or third week of August, I believe. That date, I can post the dates in the group chat here in a bit. Yeah, Chris, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, even if we're not face-to-face for an orientation, we do a virtual orientation if we have to. We did it last September. So there will be some kind of an orientation one way or the other.
Yep, perfect. I'm just going to, just while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I'll just look up the orientation or the registration dates. It's also worth noting that we do have a transitioning life to college that happens every year. So that's similar to, it's similar to an orientation, but it also, for students that might have been first time to college or post-secondary, or someone who had a bit of an education gap, it's a really good opportunity for you to kind of take some of these seminars and see what it's like to help transition you into the college experience. So that happens September 1st and 2nd. And the registration for fall programs will begin August 17th. So I'll just put the academic calendar for the upcoming year in the chat here. So yeah, there's lots of important dates that you can find in that, like when you need to pay your tuition and fees, and lots of other important dates, you know, when you're going to have breaks during your program and things like that. So another question just came in for the business analysis program. Maybe if you just want to touch on what a typical week looks like for that program. So they're asking, is it 5 days a week?
Well, it's 5 days a week, not in person. For this year, it was fully online. For the fall term, at the moment, I can't say how many days you'd be required to come in for in-person classes, but you will have work assigned to you throughout the week. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
We'll see what it says and what they say in the chat here as well.
Sorry, Colin, that was an answer to Amir, who had asked a question about registration.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
I have a question, Colin, about the languages that we do. So it's probably good that everybody hear it. So gaming experience does a lot of C++. We do not cover any C++ in Programmer Analyst or in web and mobile application development. Our main languages are C#, Java, JavaScript, SQL, HTML, PHP, and web and mobile. Actually, they go on and they do Swift and Kotlin as well for their mobile. And but we don't cover Swift and Kotlin in Programmer Analyst, so we cover more of the other stuff. So, but C++, if you're one of those people that really want C++, then you really might want to look at gaming experience.
Yeah, Bonnie, would you mind just kind of touching on the process for placements for students?
Okay, sure. The way it works at Moncton campus is that we find that students are far more successful in landing the jobs if they show the initiative to look for their own placements and make contact with employers themselves at first. Employers tend to really like that. Development is generally in demand, so they haven't had a whole lot of difficulty with that. If there was anyone that had difficulty, then we do have advisors that advise the students and help them should they require replacement. I hope that answers your question. If not, you can let us know.
Another question came in, just someone asking about the difference between programmer analyst to web and mobile app development. So maybe Chris, I see you had a quick response to that. Would you mind just talking about that a little further?
Sure. So Josh asked, why would anybody want to make the switch to or from programmer analyst to web and mobile? And it all depends on, I mean, not only geography. Sometimes people just want to move to one of the different cities and it's a different program offered. But also in year 2, the web and mobile application development, they concentrate on web development and mobile application development, where in programmer analyst, we stay with the traditional business application development and, you know, on multiple platforms, but we don't specialize in the mobile apps where the web and mobile application development program does. They concentrate a lot on the mobile stuff.
All right, that's great. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, just use the raise hand feature and you can ask the question and turn your mic off if you'd like.
I just see a question from Michael Pierce. So what we have right now in Moncton up until this past year was we have Mac Minis that we provide for the students to use for the iOS development courses. And this past year, since we were home, we used Mac in Cloud, which is a virtual solution where they surf into an actual Mac. And it was very much the same, tiny bit less performant, but it did work. So if we are in class, then it will be physical Macs that you will be provided. And if it is remote, if that's one of the classes that they decide is going to be remote as a part of the blended learning, then we would likely do the Mac and Cloud again. Hopefully that'll answer your question.
All right, another question came in about software. Do you provide it or is that, yeah, if you guys just want to touch a little bit on how students can download their software when they start their program.
All the software that, oh, sorry. I was going to say all the software that we use is provided by us, whether we provide it directly to you from NBCC's IT department or whether we provide you with a download link and software license key for a period of time or in perpetuity. A lot of what we use too is open source whenever possible. So Java is open source. We use MySQL for our database, that's open source. Things like that, but Visual Studio and some of the other tools, we will provide you with whatever you need. And I think Bonnie can probably talk to you about the other stuff that they would do. I think it's the same for them.
Very much the same. All the Microsoft products, we have an agreement with Microsoft, and so students get accounts and they can go in and access any of the Microsoft development software. And you also get access to the Microsoft Office suite. And there's a lot of other third-party open source software that we use. The databases, we use several, but SQL Server is one, and that is a Microsoft product, and then the others are no cost. So it's not something that you will have to pay extra for. Any software that is required for the program is provided to you, or you have a link to download and we'll have instructions on how to install.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite part as a student. You know, I get a brand new laptop and then I come in and I get all this free software that I get to use. That's it's a cool perk of being a student, and that's what your technology fee goes towards. So that technology fee is a part of your tuition and fees. So yeah, that'll cover all of the required software and anything you need for your computer specs. And then there's a question just around textbooks. Do you need a physical copy or e-copy? That can be a personal preference. The school does order textbooks at our bookstores that are available for purchase. And you'll receive your book list when registration for your program happens. But e-copies are available as well. Yeah, Keisha, I see your hands up if you want to chat a bit further on that.
Yeah, so I just want to mention that we have a subscription with O'Reilly, and there's tons of books in there. And I would say probably about 40% of the books that we use in the ITBA program is available on that resource. So you don't really have to consider paying for those ones, right? Yeah, but in the past, I can say traditionally the BAs have opted for e-copies instead, because those books tends to be cheaper, right?
For the other programs, I know for the programmer analyst, quite a few of the books that are available in O'Reilly, as Keisha mentioned, are what we will use instead of physical copies that cost a lot of money. We have gradually through the years sort of weaned ourselves off of most physical textbooks as much as possible. There's still some. I can't guarantee you're not going to have to buy any, but we've tried to keep the cost of textbooks as low as possible, simply because once they print a textbook, it's pretty much out of date anyway. So we like to use the free online subscriptions whenever possible, and actual valuable and valid websites that provide the most up-to-date information whenever possible. And so Bonnie just posted the same in web and mobile. They use O'Reilly for as much as possible as well. Very few physical books to buy in ours. There are a few. We can't guarantee you're not going to get any. I will recommend, no matter what it says on the book list, wait until you get into your first class with your instructor before you buy any, and ask them, because some instructors will use a textbook a lot more frequently and adamantly than others.
All right, folks. So again, we'll just open the floor for a few more questions to come in. And as a reminder, today's session is recorded and will be posted on our College Preview Day page, posted next week. So we're looking to upload all the videos on Monday. So if you do want to look back at some of the questions and some of the content that was covered, you will have an opportunity to do that. And as always, if you do have any questions, domestic students, you can email us at collegeworks@nbcc.ca. And international students can email us at international@nbcc.ca. And I'll put those in the chat as well, just so they're available to you.
So Colin, there's a question I think that you missed just above the textbook one. So yeah, someone is asking what level of programming is taught in the BA program. Well, no programming. All right, so there are some technical courses, all right, that would pull on, I would say, the more for folks who are leading towards the technical BA roles. So I could go over those a little. Data modeling, so you'd have to do, in that course, you'll do ERD diagrams, and you'll work out that normalizing data. I could probably just do that, say that simply. Yeah, and then you have the applications courses. So advanced Excel, that's going to be taught in data analysis. Software testing, it's not programming, but it's more leaning towards the technical side. I find that folks who aren't so technical minded tend to find that a little bit challenging, but no programming, okay? You actually don't need to be to have knowledge of code to be a good BA, all right?
So Chris just made a comment on the class schedule. So typically a full day is how programs are delivered, not like a scattered delivery like most universities. So it is scheduled 8:30 to 4:30 daily. And it really depends on the program and if you have self-study breaks or schedules that allow you to have work periods, things like that. All depends on the time of year and the course load that you're currently in. One question did also come in from an international student wondering when they're able to travel. So for international students, we are encouraging you to travel by late July or early August if you have a valid and approved study permit. So we're advising that the last date that you can arrive in Canada to be able to complete your isolation to start your program on time is August 20th. So I'll also put in the chat here, there's a page that's specific for international students on our website where you can find all sorts of resources for traveling and studying during the pandemic. So there's isolation requirements, there's anything you might need to consider, as well as we have a lot of travel webinars that is hosted by our immigrations advisor, who can provide immigration study permit advice and anything like that. So I'll just throw that in the chat. So one question came in from Michael is, are there study spaces for students to use during learn from home days? I'm not 100% sure what that might mean. Do you mean just more like virtual spaces where students could gather and study together?
Oh, yes, sorry, I'll jump in on that, Colin. So each campus has a library commons with some space, some lounges, students like a student lounge and things like that. We're not really sure what that's going to look like yet in September, obviously because of public health. We'll have to follow their guidelines on spacing and sitting and things like that. But up until the pandemic, absolutely, it was a very popular and common hangout was the library commons, the cafeteria, the den, they call it in St. John, which was the student room, things like that. And also all of our campuses are offer free Wi-Fi. So you'll have complete access to everything you're going to need while you're on a campus.
All right, we'll open the floor for a few more minutes for any questions, and then we'll hop off.
Colin Ash asked the question about office hours, and it's going to depend 100% on public health in the fall. We are expecting to be back on campus at least part-time, so most instructors will have office hours in their office or in a room maybe that allows for more spacing depending on the requirement, but there's also absolutely virtual office hours as well. So we pride ourselves on being available for our students as much as possible given our schedules.
Well, that looks like all the questions for now. So I'd like to thank everyone for their time, to our instructors, Keisha, Bonnie, and Chris for taking the time out of your evening to welcome a lot of our students here today. And we're really looking forward to everyone joining us this fall. So again, this session's recorded. If you want to check that out at a later date, that will be posted on our College Preview Day page. And if you do have any questions for domestic students, you can email us at collegeworks@nbcc.ca and international@nbcc.ca for any international questions. All right, well, thank you everyone, and stay safe, and looking forward to seeing you this fall.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, folks. See you in the fall.